This is one of the things we hold patents on. This is an optical communication system.
I was hoping you'd say that. I didn't want it to be something of mass destruction or something.
No. So what this does is those are turning on and off 40 million times a second.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, and they're digitizing images that Steph can get on the screen over there, or you can control it.
Wow.
And it links to this one, which is the, so if you think of this
That's
like
the uplink,
yeah, think of it like your cell phone. You want two cell phones to talk?
Right.
Well, instead of using radio, we're using light. And we hold the patent space right now in the world for this kind of communication system, which is why Boeing came up here.
Yeah.
Today we received funding for about $1 million project, of which FedNor is putting in $400,000. The minister came around and the tour was quite good. He got to see a bunch of the different technologies that we're working on, and the sewer robot's one of them. But it was quite good to have him.
I'm a kind of a hands-on guy. I believe in management by walking around, and for me to see with my own eyes what's going on here, how I deal with taxpayer money. I have to make sure it's being put to good use, and at the same time seeing how our entrepreneurs are making a difference and moving ahead with their projects. It's something that is part of my job, but I very much enjoy doing as well. So we had to find another way to do communication that didn't fit within the regulatory environment, but could allow us to move live video pictures around. Right, so that's why you went from radio waves to light. So gotcha. This is the very first one that started as a project. And what year was this? This is about 8 years ago. Okay. We got the interest, first of all, of GE. And what this is if you look at this camera,
yes, that's perfect.
Resisting making faces.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But this is moving live video pictures with light.
Yeah, is that, wow.
Right? And
so how is that related to fiber optics, let's say?
Well, if you take the fiber away,
yeah,
and you just put the LEDs in, this is the equivalent of doing it in free space like radio instead of transmitting it down the cable.
Gotcha.
Right? But that means you can get the capacities that you get on fiber out over air.
Yeah, that is.
And that's what's got all the attention of General Electric. Now, General Electric are not the most, I don't know how to say it. They tried to steal it.
Oh.
And so we spend a lot of money and time on patents. And before this went down to General Electric in New York, they signed off on they won't tamper, they won't do this, they won't do that. This one came back unassembled. And fortunately we have that document.
Yeah, yeah.
But it makes us also be very careful about patenting.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's not much money that you guys put in towards patenting. And one of the problems is that we're a little company with this, and we can't take on the GEs of the world because they're so big. And so we get very, very protective of the technology, which doesn't allow the commerce to work properly.
Right.
And so it's something that you just need to think about.
That's a very good thought. Thank you for mentioning
that.
Right? Yeah.
Because as we move forward...
You know who else told me about that?
Who?
Jim Massey.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Just look at the history of RIM, right?
Yes, exactly.
Always getting sued by trolls or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're sitting on probably one of the most important communications technologies. I've had the patent lawyers say to me things like, this could be as big as Nortel by itself. When people come to see me like GE did, and now Boeing does, it's great, but your antenna go way up. Because it's like, okay, how do I protect this? And so when people come in, I shut and take pieces off of these things and put them in drawers so that I don't show the actual technology all the way through, because you don't want it in the public domain while you're doing all this. So you have to be really cautious about it.
If you've got any thoughts on this, you've got my email address. I'd love to hear from you on it. Why Penguin?
Well, Penguin was interesting. When we started, my partner said to me, the technology that you've been working on is kind of like this group of penguins in Australia. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, every day these penguins go in the water to feed. And every night they come out and there's a stand set up in this place and they watch them. One penguin comes out of the water and then 2, then 4, then 100, and they start coming across the beach. But the dingoes there will eat penguins because they're full of small fish. And so as the one penguin goes across, then a bunch of them start coming backwards into the water until there's only one penguin left that has to make the decision about where he goes. And it takes 2 or 3 times before they actually go to the nest, and then once they do, they all come. And so he said all the robotics technology and the teleoperation is just like that. People just don't know yet that it can be applied to business and all those things. And so we wanted to be the leaders in applying the technology, and the penguin part of it was about leadership.
As long as you don't get devoured by the dingo.
Right, as long as you don't get devoured by the dingo. Exactly.
That's a good
That's where
story.
it came from.
Yeah, okay.